Welcome to War Thunder with Subdude. How y'all doing today? I have just finished up my last free repair on the Yak-38M. And now it's time for me to give my opinion of the Yak-38M. It's trash. It's absolutely abysmal. It's an aircraft that was designed to be a naval fighter, but it did not take into account the fact that a fighter needs to maneuver. It was like a see, we can do it platform when the Yakolov Design Bureau got their chance to manufacture this plane. And I realized that it was Sidney Cam who gave Yakolov the insight into the Harrier, or the predecessor, the Kestrel, saying, see what I can do? Now, see if you can do better. Apparently, they'd been friends for a very long time, and this is what the Yakolov Design Bureau came up with. And let me tell you, the idea is interesting, but the execution is completely flawed. You might be going, it flies. Yeah, it does. Like a brick. Those itty bitty wings, which are almost vestigial, they're tiny. They have the only explanation I can see is they looked at where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? At the wings of the F-104. That's the only thing I can think of. They looked at the F-104 and they said, those wings work. Why don't we use those? Except the F-104 is twice the speed of sound. And it's designed to go in a straight line. It was meant to be an interceptor. Fly high, fly quickly, take off, climb high quickly, fly out, find the target, launch missiles, go back home, land. That quick. It's when they changed it over to a fighter bomber that they decided it needed to be able to refuel in the air. Which was like, duh. But this plane, the Yak-38M, and by extension the Yak-38, the only saving grace of this plane is that missile right there, the R-60. The guns are pretty good. The 23 millimeters are pretty good guns. Fast firing, so you can put a lot of bullets downrange, and it's pretty high velocity, which is all right. And the missile is, if we had 4 of them, it would be better, but then we would have to sacrifice the gun because you can't sling anything below the plane. That's a problem. I would go for a single gun pod slung beneath the fuselage if it was possible, and 4 missiles. But that's not the problem here. The problem is, in a straight line, this thing is pretty good. It gets up to about 735 miles an hour. You do the metric conversion. But you can't maneuver. It can climb very nicely, but it can't maneuver. The minute you try to turn, it does not want to maneuver at all. Even if you roll it over on its side and try and do an elevator turn, the constant application of the elevator will not make this plane turn any faster. And the reason is these itty bitty little wings. They literally give no lift when the plane needs it the most in a turn. This is an engineering marvel and a disaster at the same time. And we have Sir Sidney Cam to thank for this by going to Yakovlev and saying, "Look what I built," when he showed off the Kestrel. Didn't show it off to the Americans or the French or the Italians, but he showed it off to the Russians. Now, the Russians said, well, we need to build one of these vertical takeoff planes. So Yakovlev, who had the inside scoop on Hawker, started to build the Yak-38M. Well, the Yak-38. And they couldn't quite overcome the designing of the Pegasus engine. So they went a different route. They put in dual lift engines. Those lift engines suck in a massive amount of fuel when lifting this plane off the ground. And then they've got the rotating thrust nozzles for the engine exhaust. This plane, due to its design, I don't know the correct word to use for that. It works, but there's trade-offs. You've got two heavy engines towards the nose. You've got itty-bitty wings that lose all lift in the middle of a turn. And the plane has inertia. It doesn't like to turn. I'm not ragging on design in this game. I'm not ragging on developers and flight models or anything like that. I'm just saying the plane itself is not very good at all. It's an interesting aircraft. But that's about all I can really say about it. It's interesting. It's not something that's worth taking into battle. Not in air realistic, anyhow. I don't know how it performs in ground attack, ground forces. I don't even think it has weapons for. Well, it's got rockets and more rockets and bombs. And bombs. Okay. It does have these missiles. Yeah. These are an interesting missile. I think I've got them on the MiG-21 PFM. Yeah, KH-66. It's an anti-shipping missile, air-to-ground missile. Now that's a useful weapon in War Thunder ground forces. And honestly, it should be a useful weapon in naval. But we have not quite gotten to the point where we have modern enough ships to allow something like this into naval. But here we are with the Yak-38M, and we have basically a fighter that has the maneuverability of a brick. It really isn't designed to be a dogfighter. Um, I could see it as an anti-shipping platform. Carry a couple of those KH-66s and the two R-60s to defend itself on its way home, or the two gun pods. Doesn't matter. Something. The plane is just not flexible enough in its maneuvering envelope. It's horrible. It's like, well, the only saving grace of the F-104 is the fact that it's fast. It's really fast. And it can outrun some shots at it. If you aren't within mile and a half of the F-104 when you launch an AIM-9B, you might as well just not waste your shot, because you're not going to catch up to that thing if it's already supersonic. The jet will outrun your missiles. You'll run out of gas and they will detonate way away from the plane. This plane doesn't even have that grace. It's subsonic, and the missiles, well, there are two of them, aren't really enough to justify taking this thing into air realistic. I'm glad I got it, because now I understand the fact that it's basically junk. Um, it's fun to fly. I enjoy flying it until I'm in a dogfight and I'm trying to turn, and a Jaguar can outturn you, and an F-104 can outrun you, and a Phantom can outgun you, and an F1 or an T2 can basically run you down, outgun you, and missile you to death. And I mean, A4 Skyhawk can outmaneuver you, and it's an attacker. Not a lot that I can say to recommend this plane, and that's just because of what the plane is. What Gaijin has created here, beautiful. Um, I really can't fault the flight model, other than the fact that it doesn't slow down. You can try to slow the bloody thing down, but it just doesn't want to slow down. And when you got a damaged wing and it wants to roll over on its side all the time, that's really annoying. Um, but that's about it. I mean, it's cute, but it's worthless. It's like that ornament that you have, you know, a yard ornament that's really fragile and you're afraid that it'll get broke. Well, that's what this is. It'll get broke a lot, easily. All right, this subdude signing off. Y'all have a pleasant today, a better tomorrow, and we'll catch you in the sky and air realistic on the good naps. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the Yak-38 away. Take care, folks.